Carlos had spent 3 months taking care of his tomato crop as if it were his own child. Every drop of water was carefully measured. The EC and pH were right where they needed to be. He even invested in the most expensive genetics he could find. Then July arrived. And so did the biggest disappointment of the season. Half of his tomatoes split open, and many developed a dark, sunken spot on the bottom of the fruit. His first thought was the same one most growers would have. I've got a pest problem. He was wrong. What was destroying his harvest wasn't hiding in the soil, on the leaves, or inside an insect. It was in the air, just inches away from his plants. And it's something most growers never even think to check. It's called vapor pressure deficit, or VPD. Over the next 20 minutes, you'll discover why this single number, more than temperature or humidity alone, can be the difference between the harvest you've been dreaming of and an entire season gone to waste. And by the end of this video, I'll show you exactly what Carlos did to fix it. Welcome back to the Genetics Growers channel. If you're new here, we cover everything you need to take your growing skills to the next level, from genetics and plant nutrition to pest management, and, like today's topic, climate and microclimates. If you find this kind of content helpful, make sure to subscribe. Every week, we share practical, science-backed guides to help you grow healthier, more productive plants. And if you prefer learning at your own pace or want to dive deeper into a specific topic, be sure to check out our website. We have a blog packed with practical growing guides, the latest agricultural trends, and plenty of additional resources. You'll find the link in the description below. Summer is the time of year when growers lose the most yield and quality, and it's almost never for the reason they think. Before we go any further, let me ask you a quick question. Do you know what your grow room sensor is reading right now? Here's something to think about. Chances are it's not telling you the whole story. Today, we're going to talk about two concepts that are closely connected. The first is vapor pressure deficit, or VPD, the value, measured in kilopascals, that tells us how much moisture the air can still hold before it becomes saturated. The second is abiotic stress, the damage the environment causes to a plant even when there are no pests or diseases involved. We'll break down exactly what VPD is, why it controls transpiration, stomatal function, and even calcium uptake, what the ideal VPD range is for each stage of plant growth, and, most importantly, why the thermometer hanging at the entrance of your greenhouse almost never reflects what's actually happening around your plants. That's where microclimates come into play. And later in this video, I'll show you one of the most expensive mistakes growers make without even realizing it. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what happened to Carlos. What exactly is VPD? VPD stands for vapor pressure deficit. Put simply, it's the difference between the amount of water vapor that's currently in the air and the maximum amount that same air could hold before becoming completely saturated. It's measured in kilopascals, or kPa. Think of it like a sponge. If the sponge is already soaking wet, it can't absorb another drop of water. That's a VPD of 0. The air is completely saturated. But if the sponge is dry, it'll aggressively pull moisture from anything it touches, including the water your plants release through their leaves. That's what a high VPD is. Thirsty air demanding more water from your crop. A lot of growers only look at the relative humidity reading on their hygrometer and assume that's enough. Here's something that surprises most people. For roughly every 10 degrees increase in temperature, air can hold nearly twice as much water vapor. In other words, relative humidity depends entirely on temperature. 70% humidity at 15 degrees Celsius creates a completely different growing environment than 70% humidity at 32 degrees Celsius, even though the number on the screen is exactly the same. VPD, on the other hand, combines temperature and humidity into a single value that reflects the actual evaporative demand your plants are experiencing. Now here's the detail that changed everything for Carlos, and it may change the way you manage your grow too. The most accurate VPD isn't calculated using air temperature alone. It's based on the actual leaf temperature. A leaf sitting in direct sunlight can easily be 2 to 4 degrees Celsius warmer than the surrounding air. That difference can dramatically change the VPD the leaf is actually experiencing, making it very different from the number displayed by the sensor hanging on your wall or near the entrance of your greenhouse. In other words, your environmental monitor may tell you everything is perfect, while the leaves receiving the most sunlight are already under stress that your display never reveals. And that's incredibly frustrating, especially when you've done everything else right. Why VPD controls your harvest? VPD isn't just another number on your environmental monitor. It's the driving force behind 3 critical plant processes happening at the same time. And once you understand them, you'll understand the root cause of most summer growing problems, including what happened to Carlos. First, transpiration. The higher the VPD, the faster water evaporates from the surface of the leaves. It's the same basic principle our bodies use. Just as we sweat to cool ourselves down, plants transpire to regulate their temperature while keeping water moving from the roots all the way to the highest leaves. Second, stomata. Stomata are the tiny pores on the surface of the leaves. They're where carbon dioxide enters the plant for photosynthesis and where water vapor escapes into the air. When VPD gets too high, the plant senses that it's losing water too quickly and closes those pores to protect itself. The problem is that once the stomata close, carbon dioxide can no longer enter the leaf. And without CO2, photosynthesis slows dramatically. That means a VPD that's too high can stunt your plant's growth, even if your lighting is perfect and your nutrient program is dialed in. That's exactly what Carlos was dealing with. Week after week, he checked his roots and nutrient solution, convinced the problem had to be there. Everything looked normal. Third, calcium uptake and blossom end rot. This is probably the least understood part of VPD and one of the most frustrating for growers. Calcium doesn't move through the plant on its own. It travels dissolved in water and depends entirely on the plant's transpiration stream. No transpiration means no calcium transport. The fastest growing parts of the plant, especially the bottom of developing fruit, are the first to suffer when that flow slows down. The result is a disorder known as blossom end rot, that dark, sunken spot Carlos found on his tomatoes. It's not caused by a disease. It's not caused by a fungus. And in most cases, it's not even caused by a lack of calcium in the soil. It's the direct result of VPD staying outside the optimal range during the previous several days. The ideal VPD range. Now that we understand why VPD matters, let's talk about actual numbers. For most fruiting crops, a healthy VPD range falls between 0.3 and 1.5 kilopascals. But here's the important part. Not every value within that range has the same effect on your plants. There's a big difference between being at the lower end of the range and operating at the sweet spot. If you're growing cannabis, your target VPD shouldn't stay the same throughout the entire growth cycle. It should change as the plant develops. During the seedling or clone stage, when the root system is still immature and the plant is especially delicate, it's best to keep VPD low, around 0.5 to 0.7 kilopascals. This minimizes water loss and prevents the plant from transpiring faster than its young roots can support. During the vegetative stage, the plant becomes much more resilient, allowing you to gradually increase VPD to around 1.0 kilopascals, while still maintaining efficient CO2 uptake and healthy growth. Then, during flowering, when lower humidity is important to reduce the risk of mold and bud rot, VPD can gradually increase to approximately 1.0 to 1.4 kilopascals. There are plenty of free VPD charts and calculators online. You simply enter your air temperature and relative humidity, and they calculate your VPD instantly. They're excellent tools for learning the concept and making quick environmental adjustments. But here's the catch. A chart or calculator only tells you what's happening at one measurement point, where your main sensor happens to be. It doesn't reveal the multiple microclimates that naturally develop throughout your grow space. One question we get all the time in the comments is, If I already have a VPD calculator, why would I need anything else? The answer is in the next section, because that's the exact blind spot that cost Carlos half of his harvest. Microclimates, the summer blind spot every grower misses. Here's the most common and the most expensive mistake growers make during the summer. It's the exact same mistake Carlos made. Managing your entire grow based on a single sensor hanging in the hallway, on a wall, or near the entrance. That sensor is measuring the conditions where it is located, not what your plants are actually experiencing. Between plant rows, underneath shade cloth, near grow lights, next to greenhouse walls or glass panels, and especially at the top of the canopy where solar radiation is strongest, VPD can vary dramatically within the very same growing space. Those areas with different environmental conditions are called microclimates, and they're exactly where problems begin, even while your main sensor continues to display perfectly normal readings. What is abiotic stress? Abiotic stress is any damage a plant experiences from physical environmental factors, without any pests, fungi, or bacteria being involved. During the summer, the biggest stressors are excessive heat, intense sunlight or solar radiation, low relative humidity combined with high temperatures, and of course, a VPD that remains outside the healthy range for several hours at a time. Your plants can suffer even when irrigation, nutrition, and your growing medium are all perfectly managed. Because the problem isn't in the roots, it's in the air surrounding the leaves. That's exactly what made Carlos's problem so difficult to diagnose. On hot, sunny summer days when outdoor air is dry and temperatures are high, VPD can rise very quickly, especially from around noon through the middle of the afternoon, when solar radiation reaches its peak. Let me ask you something. Have you ever closed your shade cloth around midday because you thought you were protecting your plants from the heat? If you have, you're definitely not alone. But in many cases, that can actually make things worse. Why? Because while the shade reduces direct sunlight, it also decreases airflow. As a result, the temperature inside the growing area can rise faster than humidity does. The outcome is a VPD that climbs well above 1.5 kilopascals for several hours. The exact conditions where stomata begin to close, photosynthesis slows to a crawl, and calcium transport to developing fruit is interrupted. As much as we talk about excessive heat, it's important not to overlook the opposite extreme. During the early morning hours, or on clear nights when temperatures drop quickly while humidity stays high, VPD can fall below 0.3 kilopascals. At that point, the air is nearly saturated with moisture. Evaporation slows to almost nothing, and a thin film of water forms on the leaf surface. That's the perfect environment for fungal diseases such as Botrytis, powdery mildew, and Phytophthora to develop. So the goal during the summer isn't simply to lower VPD when it gets hot. The real objective is to keep VPD within a healthy range throughout the entire day and night cycle. Let's do a quick recap so this really sticks. When VPD is too low, below 0.3 kilopascal, the biggest risk is fungal diseases caused by excess moisture sitting on the leaf surface. When VPD is too high, above 1.5 kilopascal, the main risks are stomatal closure, reduced photosynthesis, poor calcium transport, and in fruiting crops like tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants, problems such as blossom end rot and even fruit cracking caused by prolonged water stress. In a nutshell, that's exactly what happened to Carlos. How to manage VPD during the summer. Practical steps. Now, let's get to the part that really matters. The practical strategies you can use every day. These are the same changes that ultimately saved Carlos's harvest. First, smart ventilation. When temperatures spike, the goal isn't to throw every vent wide open. That can bring in even drier outside air and push your VPD even higher. Instead, focus on maintaining consistent airflow throughout the growing space. The objective is to eliminate stagnant pockets of hot, dry air, especially around the upper canopy. Second, shade management. Use shade cloth or shade screens progressively during the hours of peak solar radiation. The goal is to reduce leaf temperature without completely sacrificing airflow. Third, misting or fogging. During the hottest part of the day, when VPD reaches its highest levels, a fine mist or fogging system can increase humidity without soaking the foliage, helping lower VPD in a controlled way. And fourth, and probably the most important of all, measure conditions where your plants actually grow, not just in the aisle. Place sensors in areas that are most likely to behave differently from your usual monitoring location. Near the top of the canopy, in a corner with limited airflow, and beneath any shade cloth or screens. Compare those readings over at least 7 days, and you'll quickly identify the microclimates that need your attention. Before we wrap up, let's answer 3 questions we get all the time in the comments. First, do I need several expensive sensors? Not at all. Even 2 or 3 affordable sensors strategically placed and compared over the course of a week will give you a much more accurate picture than a single high-end sensor mounted in the aisle. Second, how often should I check the readings? The answer depends on your setup, but during the summer, it's a good idea to monitor your environmental data daily, especially during the hottest hours of the afternoon when VPD changes the fastest. And finally, the question we hear most often: does VPD matter for outdoor growing too? Absolutely. The same principles apply outdoors. The difference is that you have much less control over the environment, which makes practices like shade management, irrigation timing, and strategic misting even more important. If there's just one thing you remember from this video, let it be this: don't manage your grow based on a single number displayed on a wall. Manage it based on what's actually happening around your plants. The VPD measured in the aisle is only an average. The VPD that truly matters is the one your leaves experience, just a centimeter away from their surface. Remember Carlos? After that season, he installed 3 additional sensors, one at the top of the canopy, another in the corner farthest from the ventilation system, and a third beneath his shade cloth. In less than a week, he discovered that while his main sensor consistently showed a perfect VPD of 1.1 kilopascal, the upper canopy was reaching 1.9 kilopascal for several hours every afternoon. He adjusted his ventilation strategy, changed how he managed his shade cloth, and added fogging during the hottest part of the day. The next harvest didn't produce a single tomato with blossom end rot. So today we've covered what VPD is, why it controls transpiration, stomatal function, and calcium uptake, what the healthy VPD ranges are throughout each stage of plant growth, and why summer is the season when abiotic stress can get out of control if you aren't monitoring the microclimates inside your growing space. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. It really helps YouTube recommend it to more growers who may be dealing with the same problems Carlos faced. And don't forget to subscribe to the Genetics Growers channel so you never miss our upcoming guides on climate management, plant nutrition, and pest control. Also, be sure to visit our website where you'll find a blog packed with practical growing guides, the latest agricultural trends, pest management resources, and much more to help you keep learning at your own pace. You'll find the link right at the top of the description. No need to go searching for it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.